Hello, good evening and welcome to the business segment on News360. My name is Martin Asiedu Date, and as we always say, here, your business is my business. Let's go to the details of our stories this evening. And the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, ICU, is asking government to provide documentary evidence on how the country's economy depleted and had to seek an IMF bailout. Although the IMF has provided $114 million to Ghana, the ICU believes failure to properly explain the depletion of the economy could possibly affect the use of the funds.
The IMF has provided $114 million to Ghana as the first tranche of the bailout. Government sought the bailout to shore up the cedi and to boost its domestic and foreign reserves. Ghana's foreign exchange reserves increased to over $580 million in September last year from over $359 million in August.
We think the situation is not too ideal. The IMF timing that they have come when the reserves are depleted and this money that is supposed to bring correction to the public sector, financial difficulties have been swept. And now we are saying, let's stabilize the city. That cannot change the inflation on the city. That reserves, we are saying, cannot in itself change the inflation on the city. Even though in this country we have two kinds of inflation, the one on paper and the one that we face on the bread and butter issues on the open markets.
In a related development, the ICU has expressed worry at government for paying interest on the $3 billion CBD loan when it has not received the money. Currently, Ghana has accessed one out of the $3 billion and still paying between 2.95% and 25% as interest rate. ICU has described that as mismanagement.
We equate this to financial loss, deliberately, willfully causing financial loss to the country. Because how can you just also go on paper, do such commitment, begin to pay interest when the actual principal loan is not on hand? We will need further clarification from the Minister of Finance to let us know what this sort of arrangement is all about. In basic banking, you take the loan before they begin to charge you the principal and the interest. But in this particular transaction, we are paying interest without the principal even on hand. Whether it is a condition that pay the interest to this point before I bring you the principal or whichever, the dynamics cannot be financially prudently be expressed.
ICU is hoping government will quickly procure the power badges to help industry bounce back to business.
Now, whether it is Turkey, whether it is America, wherever we think this supplement of power is going to come from, even now that we are going to buy, with already a huge deficit budget, where those monies are going to raise to get this thing done. Well, we are here to see the provision of government in working around these things. But for us in Labour, as at this crucial time, anything that will solve the power crisis will be our joy.
About 3,000 national service persons are yet to receive their allowances for the month of January and February under the new e-switch payment system aimed at checking fraud and clearing ghost names. The acting executive director of the National Service Scheme, Dr. Michael Pesa-White, said persons affected by the new payment system must visit their district offices for it to be rectified. According to the General Manager in charge of Projects and Business Development of GIPS, Archie Hesse, about 43,000 names were presented and imputed into their systems. Out of the figure, more than 38,000 personnel have been paid their January and February allowances.
Once the list has been sent to GIPS, the time taken to verify the list up to when payments are effected typically takes roughly 20 minutes. So in the grand scheme of things, if everything else is perfect, as soon as the list is sent to us, payments can be effected within the hour. As you all rightly know, national service personnel can within that hour also load their funds. That's how quick the system is.
Acting Executive Director of the National Service Scheme, Dr. Michael Pesa-White, affirmed that the partnership with the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement System managers of the e-switch payment system is yielding positive results.
Before the GIBS collaboration, as you know, the President did mention that in his State of the Nation address, we saved about 26.5 million by preventing several ghost payments. And so that is what it was even before we brought GIBS in. Now that we brought GIBS in, we are yet to look at the figures and the numbers again and see whether additional savings. So, you know, our quarter starts from September. So it's September, October, November. Then the next one is January, February, March. So it's only after March payment that we will, and when the figures are stabilized, that we will look at the numbers and see how much we have saved for the second quarter.
Dr. Kwesa White further outlined what personnel who are affected by the new payment system should do to rectify the anomalies.
If you are a national service personnel and you have not been paid January and February, we regret it, but it is also because there has been a problem with your data. It's either you do not submit your e-switch number, so you have to go back to your district and correct that, or there has been a problem with your e-switch number, which means that it may not have been properly written, or we notice that you have two e-switch numbers in the system and it makes it difficult for us to know which of them to be paid, or possibly your e-switch number more or less is also somebody else's e-switch number, which could be maybe a transpositional error. Please just go back to your district office, let them look through the names, and then have your system corrected for you so that we can have you paid. We have enough funds to pay service personnel. Government is fully committed to making sure that national service personnel are paid and paid on time.
The Secretariat says measures are being put in place to ensure that issues of payment of allowances are sorted even before the service year begins. In other business news, the Food and Drugs Authority says it is unable to stop the sale of immature alcohol because of its high demand. The authority is also against alcohol fully maturing at factories because consumers would abuse it.
When we say alcohol is maturing, it means that it tempers, and temper means some of the flavor, aroma will be developed. But it doesn't take away the level of concentration of alcohol in the product. If you take freshly produced whiskey, it may appear harsh if you taste it. But then if you allow it to temper for some time, the harshness goes down.
Abuse of alcohol, he added, damages the liver and kidney.
I would just suggest that when you even allow it to temper, it becomes less harsh. And that means you have a very good mouthfeel. So you are tempted to drink more. And by drinking more, you are poisoning yourself with more alcohol. And so you do more damage to the organs in your body. So what they are calling for is rather encouraging more abuse of alcohol.
Alcohol abuse is a chronic disease characterized by the consumption of alcohol at a level that interferes with physical and mental health. 3.3 million deaths are recorded every year from the harmful use of alcohol worldwide. On celebrities endorsing alcoholic beverages, the FDA maintained it was against it.
When you use celebrities, people, whatever you do, people want to do it. And the law says that. And the law is not Ghana law. It is the law by WHO. The whole world is observing it. Celebrities are not supposed to be used in advertising alcoholic beverages, because they will entice people, the youth especially, to abuse alcohol.
A group calling itself the Ghana Drunkards Association early last week claimed alcoholic beverages produced in Ghana was of poor quality. According to them, unmatured alcohol damages the liver and kidneys and demanded compensation for persons affected.
So do let us know what your views are on that particular story. We will certainly read it to the rest of the world. It is facebook.com/news on TV3 and then twitter.com/@news on TV3. And also in business, the Ministry of Finance and the Economic Planning has debunked the assertion by Imani Ghana and the Institute of Fiscal Studies that government has ended the hedging program. In a press release, the Ministry of Finance stated it is wholly inaccurate for the two think tanks to state and thereby categorically imply that the hedging program ended when the current Minister of Finance and his team were entrusted with reviving and managing the nation's economy from 2013. According to the Ministry of Finance, if the institutions had bothered to check, they would have found out that the hedging program continued well into 2013 under the current minister before being subjected to a review as part of government's broader review of the petroleum pricing formula. The release further explained the review was concluded in September 2014 when Cabinet approved a set of recommendations to address the challenges identified by the technical committee. These included the alignment of the hedge program with the National Petroleum Authority's price build-up, that's the PBU, and provision for the hedging premiums within the mitigation account. The production hedge, which seems to be the major subject of the press statement, was unsustainable in its initial form, according to the Finance Ministry. The statement further explained that the Petroleum Revenue Management Act, that's the PRMA, which governs the management of oil revenues, did not provide a mechanism for paying the premiums to hedge oil revenues. The ministry observed it is misleading for Imani and IFS to imply that counterparty banks underwrite hedging contracts. They explained underwriting only occurs if counterparty banks lend money to Ghana to pay for the hedge, just like any other borrowing for recurrent expenditure. Imani and IFS alleged the ministry had caused financial loss to the state. The release stated a number of factors are considered before deciding whether or not to opt for a hedge contract. And in conclusion, the statement said the Ministry of Finance assured that Parliament has not approved any interest rate risk management program. All right.